Starting in 2024, the firm has been gradually rolling out its new requirement for biometric identification. Once again, this is the old-fashioned problem, reaction, solution scheme being deployed. Under the guises of safety and fraud prevention, the buy now, pay later industry will soon require biometric ID, and Visa is following close behind. Visa launched their payment passkey in 2024, which allows you to voluntarily make purchases with your phone's built-in biometrics. Visa aims to be biometric first by 2026. The international banking cartel has made it clear that this is where we are headed. It's the only way the crypto AI control grid can function. While many of us can clearly see this as a major upgrade for tyranny and an affront to human free will, many are perfectly content with an authoritarian state. The 2020 lockdowns seemed to have reinforced this.
Tyranny and authoritarianism doesn't always look like what we think it looks like. They can go the 1984 jackbooted thugs with the boot on the face sort of tyranny, or they can go the Aldous Huxley Brave New Worlds, drugging people with soma and making them love their servitude kind of a tyranny. And either one is bad, but at the very least, when you have the 1984 police state, Big Brother kind of police state, at the very least, people know that there is a tyrant and they know that the boot is on their face. I think there probably is a point at which you've invested your identity so much in a certain political propaganda line that it would be very difficult for you to come back from it, which is why I think the COVID conversation basically disappeared so quickly, because so many people probably understood intuitively they'd been had, but no one wants to talk about it.
An FAA waiver issued last March made it legal for government agencies and local police to operate drones beyond a visual line of sight and over large crowds of people here in the U.S. And since then, California company Skydio is now deploying its quadcopter drones in just about every major U.S. city. These drones have thermal imaging cameras. They're operated without a human user, and they have been deployed by Israel since October 2023 to track, trace, and murder tens of thousands of non-combatant Palestinians. The very same drones used by the U.S. Department of War to surveil its enemies, the same drones used by Israel to ethnically cleanse what's left of Palestine, are now being launched every day in most major U.S. cities to track and trace every individual. The new financial system is now ready to be born out of the ashes of the old, and all that will be required in order to buy and sell will be your consent to the biometric digital ID.
Shalom, Kohalayim La, Yahweh Hashem, Yahweh Shai. What's up, Daman Sidels of GMS, and honest you, Akim. Peace and bless your brothers and sisters that listen to Church of the Firstborn, the hopeful elect. Kohalayim La, Yahweh Hashem, Yahweh Shai. And, going through the news feed, what's going on, current events. Obviously, that retarded government shutdown and these fools in the government playing games with people's lives. Which, this all accelerating the downfall of Babylon the Great. See, this Satanist Elon popped back up in the news, and now they're openly talking about universal basic income, which we went in on before, and now they're bringing it out more and more and more now, pretty much trying to expand the welfare state, like I talked about briefly in my last video on no work or hope for Egypt. Elon is saying now, this world that's coming, you don't have to work anymore because you have robots in the workforce. Well, let's get that article. And this is all no different than what Klaus Schwab talked about at the WEF years ago, the world after the pandemic. Okay, the Great Read. Okay, and one of the goals of the Great Read is universal basic income. See, which is going to be tied to your carbon footprint and your social credit score, man, which is pretty much slavery. Like he said, you will own nothing and you will be happy, right? And we're going to give you credits, right? Money that's pretty much program vouchers, what you could spend your money on. That's what universal basic income is. They tell you what you could spend it on, and you can only spend it on that, which is going to be tied to your social credit score, man. Okay, but now they openly saying it. Now let me get this article. I'm gonna read a series of articles and get some brief precepts. They're laying obviously we know they're laying the groundwork for this new digital world, right? And this digital ID. And this is the main thing. And this is what we constantly keep stressing, because this is coming, man, right? Like we said, the dollar is pretty much out of there, man. Okay. So now let's read this article by Business Insider. It says, Elon Musk says Optimus, or that robot, will eliminate poverty in speech after his $1 trillion pay package was approved. This guy's a madman, man. It says all these men are madmen. Elon, Bill Gates, Bezos, the billionaires of the world, the bankers, Esau in general, they're madmen, man. Scripture says, well, let me read this article first. It says, Elon has spent recent weeks outlining a vision for the economic future with Optimus that will eliminate poverty. He said jobs will no longer exist, Musk said. In a benign scenario, or I guess a good or a great scenario, all humans will receive a universal high income. Just went into that. Let me get another article explaining that. At the same time meeting, Musk predicted the elimination of poverty. Shareholders approved his $1 trillion pay package. That's what I'm going to get. Proverbs the 12th chapter, man. I'm going to get Proverbs the 12th chapter, which this is no different than what Amazon is doing, right? A lot of these companies are getting rid of the human workforce and they're replacing it with AI and automation, man. And he's saying, oh, guess what? In the future, humans don't gotta work. You'll have your own robot to work for you. Get out of here with that, man. They're replacing humans with machines, man. And the people that's left, they're going to give them a universal basic income. That's the world that they want, which is going to be tied to your digital ID and the CHIP. Okay. Now, let me go into this article real quick. This next article, let's see. There we go. It says, by Zero Hedge, it says universal basic income, making slavery great again. Right? Because that's exactly what it is. Digital currency equals slavery, because they be able to see and know every single thing that you do. All right. And they'll program it that you could only spend it on certain things. That's universal basic income. Now, let me see what this guy writes. He says, let's see. Let me jump on down. Let me read this part. It says government's UBI, universal basic income, will happen. It already does to some extent in widespread use of welfare payments, but the future will see it on far, far larger scale. It would not be cash handouts, but digital currency. This will be a tightly controlled version, as in central bank digital currency, CBDC. The government will claim responsibility to control the money it dispenses. CBDC is essential food vouchers and intended to be. Your UBI will be yours as long as you use it for what the government allows within the time it allows. Okay, so it's a digital token. It can only be used for certain things within a certain time period. Okay, worse than a dollar, man. All right, it says, let me jump on down. It says, all the above will not seem as at all dystopian. Governments will control their populations as part of saving the world, and will readily convince a majority of the population that being saved is a good idea. We need governments to save us from climate catastrophe by stopping us traveling, as our children are already told. Yeah, which they already starting that whole climate garbage, man. I'm gonna pull another article, because he also said that he wants satellites around the planet Earth. Matter of fact, I'm gonna get that article. He says we need large corporations to save us from pandemics, including those same corporations laboratories may develop. Okay, we need ever more expensive pharmaceuticals injected into us to save us from the scourge of obesity, to save us from our own inability to control our eating. This is the world that they want, man. Okay, this is a dystopia world, man, that they want, man. Right? Due to climate catastrophes, limit to your zone, injections every single day, facial recognition, digital tokens, carbon footprint, all right, mass unemployment, robot workforce, Oh, man. See, this is the world that they want, man. Okay. And like he's talking about climate catastrophes. In fact, let me jump to another article real quick. Like I said, this is mainly a news report going into what's currently going on. And like we said, they're laying the framework or the groundwork for what they're about to bring next. Okay, we're not getting caught up on this whole government shutdown. You know, these people, they getting distracted with a lot of bullshit, man. Okay, this is their ultimate plan. This is their goal. Okay, this is their main agenda. Okay, this all ties into the image and the mark. It says Elon Musk announced his plan to control climate by surrounding Earth in adjustable satellites. That's self-explanatory. Just like Bill Gates, you want to block out the sun. Now, why would you do that, man? All right? Why would you do that, man? The sun is in perfect order. The sun is needed for the life forms on Earth, man. And it's the main light by the day. We need the sun, man. See, but Aisha, he's against life. He is the adversary. Okay? And he was created for the day of evil. And our people that trust in him, you're going to be had in derision. Right? And this is that whole technocracy, that tech tyranny, these tech overlords, him, Sam Altman, Larry Fink, also Larry Ellison. Okay. Who else do you have? Peter Thal, Alex Karp, the whole Planetary, the whole tracking system that they military technology that they're now implementing on the population, man. We did videos on that already. And of course, Trump in the beginning of the year, he teamed up with the Stargate AI. And they pretty much want to create juices for your particulate DNA. This all ties together, man. Right? With Elon, these climate catastrophes, climate satellites, digital currency, all right? Digital ID, universal basic income. Okay? And that's why we did a video earlier about the whole Euro system, how they are moving to the next digital phase. Let me read this article real quick. Okay. So this is what it's all about. This, like we said, all roads lead to the MOTB, and you got Israelites out there who still can't see the MOTB, man. Right? It says this is the whole Euro digital system. If legislation is in place, which is already is, all right, it says it was going to take course in 2026. A pilot exercise could start in 2027, and the Euro system should be ready for a potential first issuance of the digital euro during 2029. Just like that guy said in England, you will not be able to work without a digital ID by the end of this parliament, which is 2029. You even had RFK over here who said that he wants people to have wearable tech to monitor your health, right? I'll just put that article. I won't read it. Put that article up on the screen by 2029, man. So this is all dealing with the beast system, and it's here now, man. Like I said, they lay in the groundwork, right? But they come into what? Deceit. Oh, now we're doing it to track your health, and we're going to give you universal basic income. You won't be you don't have to work anymore, man. Right? You have your own personal robot. See? Lying, man. Everything is going to be free. Right? Like the WF, you will own nothing, but you will be happy. That's why the scripture says this. Let me get Proverbs chapter 12, verse 10. But you know what the scripture says? Anybody that's not written in the book of life, they will be deceived by this man. Just like they were deceived 4 years ago with the Jews. Right? Scripture says this. Precept said I was going to get. Proverbs chapter 12, verse 10. It says, a righteous man regardeth the life of his beast, but the tender mercies of the wicked are cruel, man. See, so it seems like they're doing a good thing. They're compassionate. They care about the population, but they're pretty much serving their own selfish interests. That's the tender mercies of the wicked. His mercies are cruel, man. Okay? That's why the scripture says, through peace he shall destroy many. proving this guy and this man is an Edomite, just like during the time of Antiochus Epiphanes. They came with deceit and then fell upon the people, man. Right? He even set up his own pagan gods. Matter of fact, let me get that. 2 Maccabees chapter 6, verse 2, which actually this goes with 2 Thessalonians, where the scripture tells you that he opposed and exalted himself above all that which is called the Most High. Right? And he sitteth in the temple of the Most High, showing himself that he is the Most High. Right? Back then, Antiochus Epiphanes did that. Right? Let's get that. 2 Maccabees chapter 6, verse 1. Right? And also Aishah, he set up Caesarea Borgia, and now he's doing it through his science. Right? But back then, they set up Jupiter or Zeus in the temple, man. See? And he made it what? Illegal. Well, let's read it. 2 Maccabees chapter 6, verse 1. Not long after this, the king sent an old man of Athens to compel the Jews to depart from the laws of their fathers and not to live after the laws of the Most High. Don't follow that. See, the Babylonians and the Persians allowed us, right? Even the Assyrians, they allowed us to keep our traditions, man. Okay? To rehearse the righteous acts. But the Greeks, this was different, man. During the time of Antiochus Epiphanes, it was illegal for a person to call himself a Jew, to keep the Sabbath days, the feasts, right? But he said, nah, listen. And the scripture says what? And to pollute also the temple in Jerusalem, and to call it the temple of Jupiter Olympus, and in Gazarim. So he changed the temple of the Jerusalem. He called it the temple of Jupiter. Okay, the Jupiter defender of strangers as they desired that dwelt in the place. Let's jump on down to verse verse 7. Verse 6. Neither was lawful for a man to keep the Sabbath days or ancient fasts, or to profess himself at all to be a Jew. And in the day of the king's birth every month, they were brought bitter constraint to eat of the sacrifices. When the fast of Bacchus was kept, the Jews were compelled to go in a procession to Bacchus carrying ivy, man. So you had all kind of idols and abominations in the temple. And you had to cast off, you had to denounce being a Jew. Denounce for following Yahweh Shem Shah and follow his ways. That's how a lot of the Jews became Hellenized. You had to follow his image, man. Well, it's the same thing Aishah is doing again today with his science, man. Right? He's the absolute authority in this new world, man. What he says goes. Okay, that's why the scripture says he sitteth in the temple as the Most High, man. And the scripture says what? 2 Thessalonians chapter 2, verse 9. Even verse 8. And then shall the wicked be revealed. So it's known now who the wicked is. Right? And it says capital W. The scripture tells you Malachi, the first chapter, that Aishah is the board of wickedness. Right? And we can see who this man is, the devil, man. All right, Yuval Noah said AI will write the new Bible. Okay? And he's also let's read on. Whom the Lord shall consume with the spirit of his mouth, the prophets, and shall destroy with the brightness of his coming, man. Yahweh Shai. Like scripture says, he shall be broken by the prince of princes. Yahweh Shai Mashiach, man. Even him whose coming is after working of Satan with all power and signs and lying wonders. Okay? That technology, man. Optimus, right? Stargate AI. Okay? Xenobots. Neuralink, Syntron, Paradromics, Heal the Blind, Heal Paraplegics. These are all signs and lying wonders. Elon Musk is also behind that, man. Those devices, man. And the scripture says those are the devices of what? Devices of the churl, of wicked men. And they think these things out, man. How can we make it more acceptable? Okay? Or are we going to come through the guise of health and saving the planet? Right? That's why the scripture said in Proverbs 4:16. Got a couple of precepts. I just wanted to run through this quickly to the power of Yahweh Shem Shah, what's currently taking place and what's coming next. Proverbs 4:16. It says, for they sleep not unless except they have done mischief, and their sleep is taken away unless they cause some to fall. For they eat the bread of wickedness and drink the wine of violence. So the scripture says, man, they can't rest unless they do wickedness. And they're restless, right? They can't go to sleep. He's twisting and turning unless he causes somebody to stumble and fall, man. Okay? That scripture says he eats the bread of wickedness and drinks the wine of violence. Right? So this man, like, oh man. So being peaceful like our forefather Jacob, that's not in his nature. All right? He's a man of the sword, man. Okay? Now the scripture says, let me get Psalms the 64th chapter. That's what scripture says. The words of his mouth were smoother than butter, but war is in his heart or his mind. Right? And he wants to devour these people. And most importantly, he wants to devour Jacob. That's why he wants to try to block out the sun. Because the Most High said, if you can do that, then I'm going to cast off Israel from being my people, man. All right. So let me get Psalm 64 and 6. Get a couple more precepts to probably al-Bashim al-Shah. You know, this man, his desire, like the scripture says, is as the grave. It can't be satisfied. Right. Psalm 64 and 6, it says, they search out iniquities. They accomplish a diligent search. He's wiser than Daniel. The scripture says they search out iniquities. Right? Just like in Proverbs the 4th chapter, they cannot sleep unless they cause some to fall. Their sleep is taken away unless he do wickedness. So they search out iniquities. Wickedness, man. That's the whole point of they think tanks or they wise men, they counselors. Right? That whole C-19, that was a carefully thought out plan. How they was going to get the population, man, to fall into that snare or that trap. And then he started coming deceptive. We'll give you lotto. We'll pay for your school. You can get free food. Okay? That's them searching out iniquities. They accomplish a diligent search, both the inward thought of every one of them, what's in their mind or their hearts. And the heart is deep. Okay? So they search out iniquities, man. Right? And the scripture says they plot us to shoot at the perfect in secret. Right? Who is this going into? The secret council of the wicked, man. What people call the Illuminati, right? The enlightened ones on the left-hand side. Spiritual wickedness in high places. As I went into this lesson, going to their deep secret plans, man. Which is no longer secret. They're just telling you out in the open. Okay? The UBI, the Great Reset, controlling the climate or the weather through their satellites. Right? The digital ID. Okay? The wearable tech, the RFID, all of that. Brain implants. See? And like we said, he's coming through the guise of health and saving people, man. Proving that he is the serpent, man. Right? Just like serpent was, when you go into that word Nakash, he was an enchanter. He deceived Eve. He said, nah, you're not going to die. Right? But that knowledge was death, man. Learning of their gods, their idols, their ways, that was death, man. See, and just like if you trust this man and you take his mark, like the scripture says, you're going to be had in derision. You're going to perish, man. Okay? So, you know, it's our job to blow the trumpet, to warn, to the spiritual forecast, what's about to happen next. And this is it, man. Okay? So we on the lookout for that whole digital ID and this new system that Aisha is bringing to play. Let me read, Isaiah chapter 32, verse. It's a classic. Oh, yeah, I read the devices of the churl. Okay, the instrument of the churl of the wicked. Let me read that though. Isaiah 32 and 6. It says, for the vile person will speak villainy, and his heart will work iniquity, to practice hypocrisy, to utter error against Yahweh Bashem al-Shah, to make empty the soul of the hungry. He will cause the drink of the thirsty to fail. That's his goal. All right. Let's see. I'm going to read on down to verse 7. Let's read verse 7. All right. So like Scripture said, verse 6, that's his job, man. Now he likes to exploit and oppress the poor with his lying words, man. Speak villainy. All right. But it's all iniquity and deceit. All right. And he's destroying his own people. Like Scripture says, an unwise king destroyeth his people. That's Sirach, the 10th chapter. Verse 7. The instruments also of the churl are evil. He deviseth wicked devices to destroy the poor with lying words, like I just said, even when the needy speaketh right, man. Right? All right. So that's his plot, is to destroy the poor, aka Jacob, man. Israel. Do away with Israel, man. See? That's the instruments of the wicked. Right? Which in this case is no, it's not his devices, but this is really going into what? His tools of deceit and lies, man, his schemes, his plans. That's all a part of his instruments. Right? But Yahweh Shemal Shah got the shepherds out here. We highlighting all of that, man. Right? So you Israelites, you're not deceived, man, when he comes with his bullshit next. All right? So, hope this lesson was edifying. Like to say, Kol Olam La Yahweh Shemal Shah. That like to say, Shalom.